Texas has the highest rate of executions in relation to all the other states in the Union. So that made it kind of a nice target. And I like the accents.
In the back. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I was wondering, did it spur a conversation or discussion between you as a cast? And if so, without naming names, did you find that you were all more or less on one side, or, you know?
That's not something we discussed. If you're talking about ideology or opinion, we were too busy trying to get blocking and lines together. I'll tell you something. We all are regular people who work, well, some of us are retired, I'm jealous. But, you know, we work full-time jobs, and we come here and we spend 2 or 3 hours perfecting this. The last thing I wanted to do was get an ideology. I wanted to learn my lines and do my blocking and go home and have a bowl of cereal.
You know, Michael's statement that people do talk about this type of thing, you know, around the water cooler and such. People do, but even though this isn't, for most of us at least, this isn't our profession, we still kind of try not to, for people that you're going to spend the next month and a half with every night, you don't want to start pissing everybody off. You don't, that's the type of conversation you don't really want to get into too much. I mean, yes, the topic can very easily come up in when you're working on a show like this, and like Troy said, it really didn't for this one. But it's the type of thing, you know, you don't want to get too far into politics and religion, because you have to work with these people. And yes, you can be amenable to people you disagree with, but let's not test it.
I'm sure that your director had a different view of what I had, but it wasn't until we got together and kind of threw around some ideas and made sure we're both on the same page that we start moving in the direction of getting a production done.
And
You're all great, man. I loved it.
And the interesting thing is, in the play, none of the characters' races or ethnicities are specified. So nobody was cast because he or she was a certain ethnicity or race. It's just coincidental that that Harlem remark happens to be scripted. No, it was like that before I came in to read. Nobody changed it or anything. It wasn't scripted so that, you know, the Loftons were black or whatever. It's just all coincidental that it just happened that way.
It's interesting when he mentioned the Harlem remark. I think Troy and Judge Mark were auditioning together, and part of the sides that I had selected for the audition was that part where the Harlem remark was in. And when they delivered the Harlem remark, I said to my wife, "Now this gives it a whole different meaning, doesn't it?" But it really didn't have anything to do with the selection of Troy. Troy was by far the best candidate for the job, and I think you'll all agree with that.
Did you pick an African American to play the prosecutor and the I'm sorry, the part that you played? Was it a part of your selection when
No,
you
I selected
completely
the best,
had no?
I selected the best actors that came out for the audition.
Okay, so it had nothing to do
Nothing to do with race
with
or
your
ethnicity whatsoever.
So you could have been. You could have done that.
I would like to have said it was an ingenious idea, but no, it just happened to be the best. I selected the best of the best.
But it was kind of easy to tap into because it's a lot of rage in it. But I guess after being shot 3 nights a week for 3 weeks, it's easy to draw from that type of pain.
Yeah, I was wondering where you get that kind of ferociousness to bring to the play.
Yeah, you know, I live in Baltimore, and when you live in Baltimore, there's a lot of anger. Luckily, I never shot anybody.
Okay.
but yeah, no, it's you have a lot to draw from when you live in Baltimore.
Well, many people would have seen you before in other places in and around Baltimore. That you have demonstrated your acting ability in other artistic places, such as where I understand that you've done other things before.
Yes, I was an exotic dancer.
Okay.
Did that for 9 years, traveled all around the world. Awesome experience. Lived I guess you can say a rock star lifestyle.
Has that helped you?
Budget. It has. It has, because it opens your mind to other things. I tell anybody, if you get an opportunity to travel, do it. Don't ever limit yourself. There's so much to be seen.
So how did the exotic dancing here in Baltimore and traveling help you with your acting?
Well, you know, exotic dancing is acting.
Okay.
You know, I play a character when I'm performing. I have the person I am when I'm performing. I have the person I am outside of performing. You have those people. When I was dancing, my name was Pleasure. You know, so that's a whole nother character within itself. I'm on stage as soon as I enter the club. You know, and then I did things like skits and so forth, which also helped a lot. Which I guess it was also my way of tapping into my other passions, acting, because I would do things. I would play the nerd. I would be the Matrix. I would be the army guy and things like that. So it was a great outlet, and as far as entertaining women as well.
The Matrix.
Yeah. I did the Matrix, Neo.
What brought you back to acting?
Really, it was just a love. I started dancing, which it's kind of hard to do both. But acting is a love. It's something that I want to pursue. And unfortunately, you can't dance forever. Nobody wants to see the 70-year-old guy with the cane. You know what I mean? You have to have some really cool pole tricks to be able to get over at that point. But it was just the love of it. And I decided, you know what? Before I decided to go ahead with the original 9-to-5 thing, I need to really commit myself to this and see if I can make it first, so I won't have any questions later.
Well, you seem to be the star of this show here at the Vagabond Theater. Let me ask you, let's go back to when you actually started your first, when you did, as you told me before we started talking about Raising in the Sun. You remember your performance?
Yeah, Raising the Sun. I had it was a project, but I have to honestly say that this play has a lot of great actors. I mean, I am just a brushstroke and a beautiful masterpiece. Like, everyone together has really made this play really good. And these are very seasoned vets too that I'm working with. I'm very privileged to work with them. As far as Raising the Sun, it was just a class project. Never knew that I could act. Never tried. A teacher put me in it, and when I did my part, the teacher was so thrown back. She had us do it again, and she invited all of the other teachers to come see me do my part. And it was like, wow, am I good? Am I that good? So that's when the spark started. Hey, yeah, man, I like this. You know, I like attention anyway. So
Oh, okay.
at least this time I could do it with my clothing.
So what's happening for you for the future?
So far I have a lot of projects going on. I just finished a movie with Ben Rames and James Woods, Jamesy Boy. I'm Guillermo's right-hand man, which is Taboo from the Black Eyed Peas. Doing a couple pilots, another politically charged pilot called Hard Fix. Did a pilot, DTA, Dirtier Than Ever, that's filmed in DC about some crooked cops. Also doing Broken Continent, which is kind of like the DMV's version of the HBO show Game of Thrones. I'm also working on a script myself, a horror movie. Just finished doing Rise of the Vampires, and also I played the Wolfman in Ninjas vs. Monsters, which is really good. I'm involved in a lot of different things. Skinny Corleone's movie and Corey Parrish's movie, At the Brink. I'm in a lot of projects, blessed. You know what I mean?
So you met some marquee actors. What advice have they given you?
Let's see. Terrence Howard, I did a movie with Terrence Howard, The Guild, and you know, Terrence Howard, the character that he plays in movies is really him. He has that controlled chaos type thing. You don't know what he thinks. Yeah, you know, he just, you know, he has that, he can go off any second, but he's holding it together. But you know, I love the way he acts, because he's acting, but he's not acting. That's him. You know what I mean? And one thing he said is, you know, you stay in the moment. You know, we were doing a scene, and Wyclef called him on the phone, in the scene, he picks up the phone, Wyclef, hey, you know, he's talking, you know, this and that. And I'm like, after the scene, I'm like, was that really Wyclef? He's like, yeah, he shows me this and that. You know, but he's like, it's like a mesmer, you know, and in the moment, he just goes with it, just everything's really natural with him. Ben Rames told me, he said, hey man, you know, if you really want to do this, like anybody that perfects their craft, you have to constantly do it. You have to constantly practice. You have to constantly work at it. And he told me to move to LA. James Woods was a really high compliment. He saw me. He says, hey man, where you from? I said, I'm from Baltimore. He said, oh, you local? He says, you know, you have a real kick-ass look. He said, you know, you should stick with this. He said, anybody I've ever told that, and I've been in the business for a long time, has done really well. And I said, well, coming from you, Mr. Woods, that's a high compliment. Yeah. So yeah, you know what I mean. A few people have told me some things, some veterans and some people I really look up to.
Yeah. Now I'm interested in the various faces that you asked to put on for the different acts. Can you show us some of those faces that you?
Let's see. Well, sadly, I already look scary. So, you know, friends of mine, they call me Hollywood's bad guy because I'm always playing the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
I always play that. You know, I'm hoping that doesn't mean that I'm ugly. But my mom says I'm cute, so
okay. That's
but I always play a bad guy. So usually it's the mean, intimidating look. You know. Then I play a Wolfman, which is more of a, you know, look, you know. But usually it's serious. When I did Hard Fix, I actually got to play. I was a hitman. I was a contract killer, but he actually was a kind of a comical guy. So I like that because I got to actually, you know, exude some of my personality into it. Because usually it's always, you know, the intimidating, you know, rough guy, you know, bodyguard or, you know, killer, you know. But this one, I'm still was the killer, but at least it was a little bit comical twist to it. So
you might be up against Bond in the next Bond movie. What do you think?
Hey, that's fine. I don't mind killing. So high price actors. That'd be great. You know, I got to kill. You know, James Bond. Yeah, that looks great on my resume. You know, James, call me so I can kill you.
So your Baltimore can see your next. Or your big time movie with Terrence Howard, right?
Yes, next year. It'll be out called The Guild. I have a movie coming out this year, Soulmates. Also Ninjas vs. Monsters coming out where I played the Wolfman. James E. Boy comes out next year. It's a few things. At the Brink comes out at the end of this year. Hard Fix is an internet movie that's coming out. Broken Continent is an internet pilot coming out. So yeah, Dirtier Than Ever is an internet pilot coming out. So it's a lot of different projects.
Are you on Facebook?
Yes.
Okay. What's your?
Lyon Beckwith, Lyon Beckwith, BECKWITH.